everything, I don't know about you guys, but everything that I am listening to, reading, um, experiencing is this whole angst of discouragement, this whole angst of I'm ready for this all to be over. I'm ready to get back to doing things the way that I do them. And Alex, you have done a great job, brother, being transparent about the month of January. Thank God it's over, right? And although I do think the groundhog was right, I think we got 6 weeks to go. A bunch of people have posted on Facebook today that like the next 4 days have snow in them. So obviously, winter is moving right along. And even this morning, I was looking out my window, and those of you remember, when I went into self-isolation, I had this amazing tree in my front yard that bloomed in a way that had never bloomed before. I mean, maybe it did bloom that way, but I just didn't notice it. So I took a picture of it this morning and posted it and saying, this tree is soon going to be blooming. I wanted to say how in the hell, but is it almost a year? And so there's just this angst, right? And that's a personal angst, right? And I think it's also a professional angst. And we need to just call it what it is, um, and figure out how not to allow it to negatively impact us. And I think the first thing is just naming it and figuring out daily routines so that you keep on failing forward or taking a step forward. Because if there's one thing I've learned is if I can take one step forward and then another step forward, the next thing I know, I'm into my day, and I'm able to kind of put it aside. And Casey, I think you bring an interesting perspective to this, from the academic side. I mean, I know you're in the development and those things too, but you're in the midst of this business school academic side, and just, I mean, Darden is so group team focused. I mean, the way that Darden does things is different than other business schools because it's all about these pods and groups and being together, and and to have to do that virtually. And I'm sure they're doing some safe, smaller group stuff, but this year has had to look different, right? In the way that they've gone about doing things. I mean, would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, very. I mean, we've definitely had, students that came for a certain experience that aren't getting that experience, and doing what we can to continue that team environment. I mean, most of them live within, a set of apartments. So there's definitely some groups getting together, but definitely smaller than what it used to be. And then I'm in the career center now, so I work with all the employers. So talk about angst as far as like, do I have a job? Can I get a job? Who's hiring? Like, what's the landscape look like? And for the most part, it's been pretty year over year, same, which we're super fortunate with that. But
Yeah, for sure.
still kind of like, you don't see people and you don't see what's going on. So it's like, there's a world going on out there and I might be missing it. And FOMO is like so real. It's not even funny.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really, really good point. And so, this week, I know some of you follow my blog, and this week actually just posted it yesterday on this whole aspect of how do you deal with discouragement or even despair. And if there's one lesson I've learned from a personal standpoint, and I think it does go to professional as well, is again the step forward, right? And just going out and figuring out who can I serve today, who can I make a positive impact in their world today. Um, and what I found is that's been my out. That's been the way that I've been able to not go into this pity party rabbit. A friend of mine calls a rabbit hole, of woe is me, blah, 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 such and such. When I get like that, I just, okay, what can I do to change that dynamic, to change that paradigm? And for me, it literally is about doing something, to move me in the other direction. That, yeah, I'm this, but I can do this for this person. And in the blog, I make comments. I mean, I wrote comments of people just this week who have sent me something that said, I really appreciate you doing this or whatever. And when the stepping out is great because I'm moving forward, right? Versus, sticking my thumb in my mouth, put my blanket over my head. So the stepping out is great. But then when you get positive feedback from it, that what you did or what you said or what you texted or whatever made a difference, it just lifts you up, right? And it moves you forward. And so I've got Vincent set up for a couple different leading RE sessions, but I just want to kind of, if just paint the picture for a minute in this whole aspect of what does it mean to fight discouragement? What does it mean to not allow myself to think, my business isn't where I want it to be, and it's because of this or because of that, and oh, I was going to get this listing, and now they're selling it to the tenant instead. Yeah, that's going to happen, right? And we just got to be ready for that. But the key is that we've got things set up each and every day that we know that kind of thing's going to happen. So we've always got to be searching for that next thing. We've always got to be intentionally going out there to find that next appointment, whether it's tomorrow or 6 months from now or whatever. I got to put something else in my pipeline, and I got to fill that pipeline, because there are going to be things that are going to fall out. I just had it happen yesterday, where I thought we were going to get this cool listing in Fry Springs, which we know be gone in a minute, right? And I was supposed to call, and again, putting my actions into my, with the words that I tell you guys. This is an old friend from college, and his son has a house, and I had in my calendar, call him on whatever today is, yesterday was February 9th. So I picked up the phone, call him. Hey, how you doing? Great. What you calling about? Well, remember I told you I was going to call you on February 9th in regards to that property in Fry Springs. Oh yeah, that's right. I've been meaning to get back to you. All right. Meaning to get back to me. That's not a good sign. And it turns out, weird situation, but his son, who owns the house, it's been a rental, and he doesn't want to pay capital gains. Even though he can make a boatload of money right now that would probably offset the capital gains, right? And what they're saying is next year, 2022, capital gains may be higher percentage. That Biden would like to push those numbers up. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but there's a chance next year. Anyway, the point being is he's building a house on a piece of property he has, and he's going to, and when he builds a house, he's then going to build a cottage, and he's going to sell the property in Fry Springs as a 1031 tax deferred exchange and put the money into the cottage, which is brilliant. But it's brilliant to the point that we're not going to get that listing anytime soon. He was very grateful I followed up with him. We're on the list, that kind of thing. But the point being is, what I thought might be coming is still going to come, but it's going to be later. And so our job needs to be, okay, well, that's not coming when I thought it was. So what is going to replace it? And that's kind of what I want to just, share with you guys this morning in this whole aspect of, these four sort of motions, if you will. How am I going to change? How am I going to pivot so that I can be in the right place, understanding that it probably going to be a struggle because it may be outside my comfort zone, or it's something I'm just going to have to work on for a while. It's not going to happen right away. So how do I change to put myself in the right stream of revenue business to where the struggle is going to be, so that I can understand that and know that that's going to happen. And out of that struggle, I'm going to experience growth, right? Adversity always creates strength, or if we deal with it properly, always creates strength. Also, oftentimes provides benefits, because we learn things in the midst of adversity we would never learned, which makes us better, allows us to grow, which ultimately brings the success. But the point I'm trying to talk about with change, struggle, growth, succeed, is it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And that's the first lesson here from a standpoint of dealing with things and developing your business and being consistent in the fact that it doesn't happen overnight. I got to do it every day. And you guys have heard me say it all the time. It's, UVA, when it wins a football game, they break the rock, right? And in that situation, those guys oftentimes break it with the first hammer. But the point being is, a lot of times, if the rock is really a big rock, it may be the 100th time you hit it, but it wasn't the 100th. It wasn't anybody hit it harder on the 100th time. It was the 99 times before that it got hit and ultimately broke you through to a new place. So that's the first thing. The other thing I love is this: what was becomes what is, and it leads to what's next. right? What was becomes what is. Okay, I was doing it this way. Now I'm going to do it this way. And it then leads me to what's next. And you know, for me, golf analogy, Jack Nicklaus talks about visualizing every shot. If you haven't seen it, it's a fun movie to watch. 7 Days in Utopia. You could probably find it on Netflix or anywhere, and it's probably free because it's a, you know, it didn't do great, but it's got some neat Robert De Niro's in it. It's got some neat actors and stuff. But it's about this golfer, kind of a tin cup type of golfer that implodes on a tournament and just throws his, you know, clubs basically in the lake and drives away and ends up in this place called Utopia, Texas. And he meets this old farmer who teaches him all these life lessons through golf. And one of the things he does is he sits him under a tree with a palette and some paint, and he leaves him. And the guy, as he's leaving, he says, what am I supposed to do? He says, well, you're supposed to paint a picture. Well, what am I supposed to paint a picture of? Well, what's in front of you? And so he gets him paint a picture. Well, the point being is the next day he comes back and looks at the picture and says, okay, great. And then he kind of draws a line through the picture from here to there, visualizing what a golf shot would look like from there to, you know, the target. And so this whole aspect of what was becomes what is leads to what's next is this whole visual is, where do I want my business to go? Right. And how am I going to get there? What's the roadmap from here to there for me to do that? And so there's this manifestation of your goals and what it is you're trying to do, which then creates this sort of unwavering definiteness. I don't think that's really a word, but a definiteness of purpose. You know, if I can manifest what it is I'm trying to do and why I'm trying to do that and whatever, then I can have this this purpose, this knowledge of what I want, right? Knowledge of what I want, which then means I've got to master myself. I've got to you know, create self-control of what I think. Because going back again, of what was becomes what is leads to what's next. I need to think before I act, right? I need to think before I act. So many of us just go out there and start doing things without any sort of definition of purpose, right? And so with that, let me stop. And Vincent, I know you're putting that in the chat. Thank you. Let's watch that first one of Steve Harney's. That's the, you know, whatever the first the lowest number is. I got it here someplace. You got it? 109, DEV 109. Oh, I need to make you a host. Sorry, brother. My bad.
All good.
Be
So
all
I
good.
put I put the a couple links in the chat box that are I think the just syllabus of what these videos are about. So you get the takeaways basically.
You got it.
Hi, this is Steve Harney. And right now I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about you as a real estate professional and what in this market that truly requires. See, I believe very, very strongly that we're in the middle of a new market reality. Things have changed pretty dramatically. The world has changed pretty dramatically. What a consumer expects of a company, what a consumer expects of a brand, what a consumer expects from their real estate agent has changed. And in this new market reality, it's not about giving information, it's about giving an analysis of that information, truly being a market expert. We believe very strongly that there are 5 categories, 5 perceptions that you have to get across to a consumer for them to truly trust you. And the first is, build that trust. We've come through some crazy times over the last decade. And during those times, people start to wonder about authority, wonder about the person that was always the person they would listen to, whether it be in our personal lives, whether it be in business, whether it be in finance, whether it be in real estate. The first thing we have to do is make sure we're really building trust. Don't just assume that because you sold 14,000 houses in your career that they're going to believe you. Don't just assume that because you have the biggest billboard coming into town that they're going to believe you. In the market we're in right now, in society we're in right now, trust is crucial. Now, the first step to building that trust is they have to recognize you as a market expert. You have to commit to that. You have to commit to what's happening, knowing what's happening in the market and why it's happening. Truly understand what's taking place on the mortgage side and the real estate side, so you can give the best advice possible to your buyers, your sellers, and most importantly, their families. Now, once you have that great information, you have to realize that you're an expert. People don't understand what you understand. That means in every one of our presentations, what I like to call conversations, when we're talking either to a buyer or a seller, or presenting an offer, or talking to a seller about the fact that their price might be a little bit high in this market, and in any market, there are some sellers that their price is a little bit high, that we sit down with them and explain to them what we now know. We have to go at it not with the heart of a salesman, but as Dave Ramsey said, with the heart of a teacher. We have to take the time on every one of our presentations to sit down and explain what we've learned in the business. Let's not make assumptions. Let's not just assume that because of who we are, they're going to believe us. Let's take that time to make sure we go through each one of those steps. Now, those are the people we get in front of. I also want you to realize that in today's market, when you're looking, trying to generate those leads, trying to find those people that are looking for a real professional realtor, you have to be seen as a thought leader. You have to be a person that when they're looking at your newsletter, or they're looking at your 8x10 direct mail piece, or they're looking on your Facebook account, you're projecting to them that you understand what's happening in the real estate business. We all know that there are some real estate professionals in the market that truly know what's going on, that can really help people. And then there are some other realtors, real estate professionals, that might not be at that bar, might not be as good. We have to make sure that we're projecting who we are, our expertise. So when people are making a decision which realtor to use, or how much to pay in a commission, or which person is the best person to get, they're picking the person that can help them the most with the move they're looking to make. That real estate expert that knows how to sit down and explain things. The last thing I think that this market is really requiring of us is we stop looking at it as a cycle of 60 to 90-day transactions. That's over. Over the last couple of years, there have been too many agents that are going right from one deal to the next deal, forgetting about the last deal they did. I don't think it's that crazy when the NAR stats come out, saying that over 80% of the people would reuse us at the time of closing, but less than 20% actually do. Why? Because at the time of the closing, they knew how good we were. We helped them make that move they were looking to make. Then we moved to the next customer instead of keeping ties with that customer. Make sure that through the generations, we shouldn't be selling a house to this person. We should be selling a house to that person, their children, and those children's children, by making sure that we're worrying about that family, continuing to care about that family. Again, as a quick recap, we need to rebuild trust. How do we do that? Become a market expert. Truly understand what's happening, why it's happening. And then realize that because we have that information, we have to slow down a little bit at our presentations with the heart of a teacher and make sure that they understand what we're explaining to them. Take that extra time. And when you're going out and promoting the fact that the market's this and the market's that, do it in a way that you're seen as an industry professional, an industry expert. There's no one here that likes cherry pie more than me. But I think sending out cherry pie recipes isn't necessarily the way to project to the public that we understand what's happening in the real estate business. Let's make sure in everything, any piece of promotional material we do, we're branding ourselves as that expert. And the last piece, probably the most important piece, is that we care about those people. It's not a transaction, not to them. They either just moved out of a home or moved into a home. That impacts their life. That impacts their family. Let's stay close to that family through the duration.
No quiz, Vincent. There you go. I know you guys would have all aced the quiz. You know, that's a kind of an expansive sort of thought process of what we talk about all the time: building rapport, gaining credibility, having a system in place to show people we care. It just confirms that that's the way we want to go, so that we're relational versus transactional. That folks see us as people that really want to help them get to whatever they're trying to do. And it's not about the deal for us. Yes, we want to make good money. We want to be compensated for what we do. But I truly believe that when we go out and serve people and care for people and look out for the best interest of the people, the money will follow, right? And so again, having a real definite idea of what your purpose is, the knowledge of what you want, beginning to really understand self-control, that you're going to spend the time to really think about what you're trying to do from a marketing standpoint, how you're going to use Resora, how you're going to use Canva, how you're going to use Facebook, boosts or geo marketing targeting, how you're using a particular entrance into a particular sphere of influence, whether it be community service or, getting involved in, Alex is in the process of getting involved with YPN, the Young Professional Network. Lori Russell, that would be a really good place to go. Casey, with the influence that you have at the Darden School, I mean, you've got all these different places where you can go about getting into places. And you think about, well, YPN, well, it's just realtors. No, it's not. And Barb can tell you in regards to Women Council Realtors, it's not just about realtors, it's about lenders, it's about insurance people, it's builders. And so building relationships outside all those people can become referral sources. But this whole self-control of really understanding who you are and what you want to convey before you just go out there and, kind of throw up on everybody is really important. The next thing is, and we already touched on this for a minute, but learning from adversity. We've all learned from adversity. We've all had deals that didn't work out. We've all had people that we thought were going to buy from us that didn't buy from us. Sellers that didn't list with us, that kind of thing. Okay, what do we learn from that? What could we have done better? How could we have, been more in control of it, or, taken more of an initiative or whatever? And here's the really important thing. You learn from it and you realize there are going to be many times that there's nothing else you could have done. You did everything right. It just wasn't meant to be. And that goes back to what I said at the very beginning. And that's why we got to continually be putting stuff in the pipeline, because we can do everything right. We can be in touch with people when we're supposed to, regularly, face to face, blah, 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 adding value, that law of the harvest, right? Giving, even though we're not getting anything back, giving. And then finally, at some point, when you feel like there's an opportunity, ask, can I help you with this? Do you know anybody who's thinking about buying or selling? Casey, for you, in regards to dealing with employers and things like that, at some point as you're working with them, to say, hey, how are you doing your relocation stuff in Chicago or Nashville or whatever? I mean, leading RE and the outgoing referral scenario is just a perfect place to say, I don't know if you know this, but I've got my real estate license and I'm part of this company that's part of Leaders. I've got contacts all over the country that if you're hiring people, I can help be the facilitator of all that. I mean, if you're dreaming big, I mean, can you imagine if all those employers just all of a sudden say Casey Floyd is our person to get us in touch with realtors all over the country? I mean, you'd never have to sell another house or list another house, because you just have all these outgoing referrals just, flooding in. Anyway, but the point being is through our adversity, having sort of the optimistic view that out of my adversity, what I'm going through can turn to be beneficial. That I gotta struggle through it, right? I gotta grow from it, which ultimately will lead me to my success. And then the next one, and queuing you up here, Vincent, for oh, Barb, go ahead.
Along with that, learning from adversity and losses, I liked what Tony Bennett said recently, something to the effect that we learn a lot from our losses, but it's more exciting to learn from our victories and go back and see what we did right.
Yeah, absolutely. See you, Casey. Thanks for joining. Yeah, no, absolutely. The other thing I love about Tony Bennett is a while ago, somebody quoted that the weeping in the night can turn to joy in the morning. And somebody on Facebook posted, God, look at that. They're even quoting Tony Bennett now. Well, no, that's an Old Testament passage. But because Tony talked about it after the UMBC game, the person said, look, they're even quoting Tony Bennett here. And it was, just funny. It was in this really kind of not even in a sports related stream of conversation. And I just love that. Look, they're even quoting Tony Bennett now. But anyway, the next thing, and Q and Vincent up for the next one, is controlling your own environment influences. What are you taking in? What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you watching? Is it positive or negative? Is it uplifting or is it discouraging? At one point, Dottie and I, especially Dottie, had to say, I just can't watch the news anymore. Because I'm just getting caught up in it, and I'm getting dragged into it, and I'm almost, I can't help but watch it. I want to know more, and especially, at the beginning of COVID and things like that, and we both had to just make this decision that we were only going to at 6:30 we were going to watch the NBC national news. That's all we were going to watch, and even that, was hard. We felt like we needed to keep up, but even that was hard. So this whole aspect of controlling your own environment influences. And that leads us to the next one, Vincent, the one on having the right attitude.
Many people in my business, many people in the self-help industry want to say that attitude is all about positive thinking. Somebody asked me recently, or actually told me recently when I was having a particularly bad day, Mike, you need to be more positive. And I said to them, I am positive. I'm positive this is a bad day. A lot of people go through life thinking you should just say positive things to yourself in the mirror every day. You should constantly be giving yourself encouragement and support and telling yourself how great you are. I don't know. I guess if that feels good, that's okay. But it's a little bit like Chinese food, isn't it? I mean, you like it when you eat it. It tastes good. But after a little bit of time, you pretty much need another helping to stay full. And that's what happens with these kind of empty platitudes, these empty kinds of cliches. You see, it's more than being positive. It's more than positive thinking. It's really falls to being optimistic. And often people say, well, what's the difference in positive thinking and optimism? It really goes to how you explain things to yourself. What optimism means is that when negative things come into your life, you see those negative things as short windows of negativity. Like a thunderstorm drifting through your neighborhood, or when you're driving on the highway, a short shower, and then you're back into the normalcy of a sunny day, or maybe just a cloudy day. You see, what the chronically chipper want you to believe is that you're supposed to be happy all the time. You're supposed to feel good all the time. Things are supposed to be amazing all the time. And I don't know about the world you live in, but in the world I live in, that's just not the way it is. See, optimists and pessimists are both real. People say, I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist. Well, optimists are realists as well. And the fact is that an attitude that says, how can I make this work? How can I find a solution is likely to open up areas of your brain that's going to make you more creative and innovative. So let me ask you a question. When negative things happen in your life, how do you frame it? How do you explain it? This thing called explanatory style was created by a man by the name of Dr. Martin Seligman. Dr. Seligman talked about this idea that high-performing, successful people are able to take negative things and positive things and filter those through their mind in ways that help them move forward. A lot of people think, well, people that are pessimistic just have more negative things happen, and that's actually not true. Both positive and negative people have about the equal amount over their lifetimes of positive and negative experiences. The difference, though, between outcomes is this thing called attribution of meaning. Attribution of meaning just has to do with how do I explain the good things and bad things that happen in my life. When the bad things happen, it's best to explain them in temporary and specific ways. I don't believe this is going to last a long time. I believe it's only isolated to this one deal, this one contract, this one customer, this one period in my life. And I think it probably isn't going to last for very long. The pessimist would say, the person with the negative attitude would say, oh, here we go again. If it wasn't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. When an optimist sees something negative happen, they tend to think it's only going to last a short amount of time, and it's only going to be in this specific area. Pessimists see it exactly the opposite way. But what about positive? What about when positive things happen? Ironically, a pessimist generally sees positive things as very temporary and specific, that this isn't going to last very long. And they tend to see, and optimists tend to see the same thing, only they think it's a sign of good things to come. So just ask yourself the question, where do you tend to fall? When bad things happen, do you tend to see them as specific and temporary? When good things happen, do you tend to see them as a sign of great things to come? Attribution of meaning just goes to say, why and how do you think things happen? And then what do you need to do to move through that instead of getting stuck in the middle of it? Remember this, pain in your life is inevitable. You're going to have discomfort. You're going to have deals go bad. You're going to have people not like you and criticize you. You're going to have conflicts with your significant other. That's pain, and it's inevitable. It's going to happen in all of our lives. The difference is, if pain's going to happen, suffering doesn't have to, and here's the distinction. Suffering means I dwell on that negative thing that's happening. I stick with that negative thing. I dwell on that thing. I hold grudges. I get mad. I don't like the customer. And you need to shun that if you're going to have an attitude that's going to drive massive amounts of success. So just remember, great things happen, it's a sign of good things to come. Bad things happen, it's temporary. And you want to be focused all the time on saying, I accept the fact that there's difficulties in my life, but I refuse to suffer with it. I accept its presence and move forward. In the next segment, we're going to talk about how you can add some behavioral components that are going to make that even more effective in your work every single day.
So again, Mike, does a great job of explaining much better than what I'm trying to communicate here in my own way. But, again, controlling your own environment influences. How do you see the bad things versus the good things? The next thing is that time is your opponent. And what that means is that you've only got so much time every day, 24/7, right? And so if you think about, being on a checkers board or a chess board or whatever the case may be, with every moment that we procrastinate, I know none of you do that. When any moment you procrastinate or you put something off or you waste time, that time is gone. And time in that situation has won. That's not to say that you don't need to take time for yourself. You absolutely do. You hear me talk about that all the time, the balance, right? Work hard, but reward yourself when you've done certain things, have things that you can look forward to, whether it be Frisbee golf or fishing or hunting or Logan's walks in the morning, Vincent playing the guitar, whatever it is. I'm going to do these, I'm going to do these things. And when I get done with those things, I'm going to do this for me, right? I'm going to do this, and this. And then I'm going to go, on Thursday, I'm going to go hiking or whatever the case may be. So, again, but understand that time's your opponent, and how you manage your time, you either win or you lose. And if you continue to procrastinate, you're going to lose that game, whether it's, building your business or physical fitness or whatever, spending time with an individual, you're going to lose. If you procrastinate, you don't make it happen, then you're going to lose at those games. And then actions will all be in harmony with your thoughts. Actions will always be in harmony with your thoughts. So whatever you're thinking, ultimately, that's what you're going to do. Whatever you're thinking, ultimately, that's how you're going to feel. And by the way, a lot of this is coming from obviously my own thoughts, but also a guy, an author by the name of Napoleon Hill. Generations ago, he's written, some amazing books, but these are just sort of principles that he had in place. And then And then the last one, and then we'll get into the action. The last one is, I hope this makes sense to you because you hear me talk about this all the time. Don't let people in your life that are going to plant bad seeds in you, right? It's negative thoughts in you. You can't do this kind of thing. You're moving forward and you're trying to be energetic and you think this is a good thing and you've, done this. The number one reason people don't accomplish their goals is because they listen to their friends and their neighbors. And the friends and the neighbors have an ability to create negative thoughts, plant bad seeds in you. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And even colleagues. Oh, that won't work. I tried that. No, that's a waste of time. Don't do that. Well, it may not have worked for them because they didn't do it right, or it may not work for them because it wasn't their skill set or personality, but it may be the perfect thing for you. And if you believe that it's the right way to go, then you need to put your eyes, set your eyes on the prize and go after it in a way that you can, at the end of the day, say, I did everything I could. And hopefully you begin to see the success, or I did everything I could and that didn't work. So I've got to reevaluate and figure out what to go. And 1 day, 2 days, that's not, I did everything I could, right? It's a process that we have to put in place. And so the last thing, and then we'll watch the last video, you need to break the grip of hypnotic rhythm. Just the way you live your life, the routine that you're in. Now, some of you, it might be a really good routine, but for some of us, it's just what we've done. We're just gotten in this rut. And we've got to figure out if we're in this place and we're not experiencing the kind of success that we want to have, the kind of positive mental energy that we want to have. Well, maybe it's because what we're doing is not right. So we need to create new habits that will offer the way out. And when we start doing that, we have to put them into action. The right action can lead to good results. And that leads to the third video.
It's spinning.
Buffering.
Let me try that again. It's not looking good.
That's interesting.
There's a lot going on in my network right now, just to give you a heads up.
Let's see if hang on a second. What number is it?
I can send you the link if you need the link.
No, I got it. I got it. It's 115, right? All right, hang on. I'm gonna try taking you off as host. How do I get you off as host? Oh wait, maybe I'll do it this way.
I think I have to make you host now, Michael.
All right, make me host.
All right, let's see here. There you go.
Okay. And then I got to register. Hang on.
It's okay. It'll automatically do it.
Maybe it's something wrong with their.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on.
not me.
Maybe it's on their end.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just getting that dot back and forth. Well, anyway, if you get a chance, guys, you can. Oh, wait. Here we go. Open course. Yeah, there's definitely something going on the Institute side, I think. If this doesn't pull up, just remember DEV 115.
I'll put it in the chat box.
Yeah, thanks. Let's just not worry about it. Okay. All right. So unfortunately, couldn't watch that, but you guys can watch it at your leisure. The last thing, again, breaking that grip of hypnotic rhythm. You, as I said at the very beginning of all this, right? We got to change, sort of mindset. And one of the ways we do that is by just moving forward. So, getting with me, getting with Vincent, talking about what it is, where you want to go, where you want to be, specializing in an area or in a price range or whatever the case may be. And then creating actions that move you forward into those places and committing to them, right? And that's that whole aspect of the right action will end up resulting in consequences, right? And if they're the right positive actions, then they're going to be positive consequences. If they're the wrong actions, they could lead into negative consequences. So we got to really mind our thoughts, really understand where it is we want to go, get input to make sure you're moving in the right direction, and then just commit to it. And break yourself out of the rut and say, okay, every day I'm going to do this for an hour. I'm going to really venture into this neighborhood. I'm really going to make an intentional effort in regards to this particular sphere of influence to really get to know people, to really build rapport, gain credibility, show people I care, and begin to watch what happens because I've done that. And so, it puts us in a position that as we begin to see positive feedback, and this goes back to the blog that I wrote yesterday, of reaching out and trying to serve others, right? Reaching out and trying to make a positive impact in somebody else's life, just moves me in a good way for me personally. But then to receive feedback back that said it made a difference to them, now it gives me more energy to do more of it, right? And it's like, again, this whole thing about the process. When we first start out, we can only do a little bit of it at a time because we haven't gotten strength enough in our discipline to do it for longer than that. That it's something new. It's out of our comfort zone, so I can only do a little bit of it. But then when I do it, and I feel some good, what do they call it when you run, endorphins, or what do they call those things? Anyway, when I get some of that, what is it, Alex?
Endorphins.
Yeah, endorphins. Thank you. And I get some of that. Well, the next time I want to do it for a little bit longer, right? And then when I get positive feedback from people to say, man, I really appreciate you sending me that information about interest rates, or I really appreciate the market share thing that you did into this neighborhood to let us know what's going on. That was really good information. Well, that just encouraged me to do more of it because people like what I've done. And if people give you negative feedback, again, you take that and you figure out, okay, how do I do it differently so that I learn from that and make it better the next time. Thoughts from you guys? Sorry, that last video didn't work.
There is power in positivity for sure. And you spoke earlier in the beginning about when you do something, when you give, it kind of refuels you, right? So for me, when I'm helping you guys, when something works, or I resize a postcard 100 times for Alex, it feels good to give, right? So it makes you want to do more. And when I see a campaign working or something for you guys, it's fuel. So when you go out in the community and sell, you should use that as fuel for your business as well. Just 2 cents. It really has nothing to do with the video or anything like that. But
no, absolutely, it's exactly what. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2 things. One's kind of funny and true about just normal life, but one also applies to real estate. Is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Well, the thing about real estate is you have to try long enough until you actually start to feel insane, depending on marketing or networking or what. Because if you don't if you don't get in the groove of thinking that what you're doing is the right thing until finally you're like, okay, I've reevaluated. This just is not working. This isn't worth my time. It's not worth my money. But you've got to try long enough to at least start to feel like you're going insane a little bit, or it's working. It's gonna work or it's not. And Michael often says you can be a realtor for 20 years, but if you've done the same thing, you know, for 20 years and you never changed it, did you really grow as a realtor? And so I think this is a real, you know, I'm a little younger, but for anybody in real estate right now, we're all having to adapt in so many different new ways. And I just think you've got to at least have the mentality that what you're doing is the right thing until you've finally reevaluated that it's not.
That's great. That's good. Really good stuff. Thank you.
Especially as far as marketing, now is exciting. For me, it's like, oh man, I'm in my lane. This is perfect, because I've been in the digital world for a long time, and finally the world is catching up. And now we have more tools to geo-target, especially. Like before, you couldn't just draw a circle on a map and send a postcard. That is amazing for you guys to be able to do that, or send a postcard to a neighborhood, and then everybody in that neighborhood also on their phone get your Facebook ad, right? It's just like we have so many tools at our disposal at a minimal cost. You don't have to run a big full page ad in the Wall Street Journal. So it's pretty exciting. I think it's just easier to move the ball forward, and you don't have to actually go insane, do a bunch of stuff, and output a lot of money to try new things. So I could help you with that.
Well, especially right now, because we're paying for it. The company's paying for it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, heck yeah.
And so, mailing that postcard out and having that Facebook ad, next to it, give it a shot and give it a try. And Thursday, Vince is going to, kind of go through. We'll talk some about that, but we'll also talk about Resora and getting you up and running with that. And then I'm also going to do the changes in the MLS regulations that is effective on the 15th of this month. So, keep that in mind. And then the last, just sort of practical application in tying this up and putting a bow on it, if you will, is it starts with goals, guys. It starts with simple, achievable goals that are written down. Simple, achievable goals that are written down. Simple, achievable goal, Russell, I'm going to get into the Richmond MLS. I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to, be able to check that off, right? Simple, achievable goals. I'm going to reach out to 3 people in my sphere of influence every day. And the people I have a good conversation with, I'm going to send them a note. Simple, achievable goal. I'm going to get one of these mailings out this month. And begin to chart and see what that does for me. And here's what I would say: as you think about your as you think about your simple, achievable goals, start with gratitude. What am I grateful for? Yeah, there's a lot of crap out there, right? There's a lot of junk out there. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life that wears me down, that is heavy on my soul. But what am I grateful for? And just start every day thinking about what you're grateful for. And then finally, and going back to the very beginning of this, definition of purpose, which creates this unwavering desire to move forward, putting your imagination and your dreams into action, right? Putting it into motion. It goes back to me talking about the 6 Ds. In regards to goal setting. Am I dreaming? Am I designing? Am I developing it? Do I have the desire to do it? Do I have the discipline to do it? And if I can, then I'm going to get to my destination. And when we get there, or along the way, we begin to see, hey, I'm going to California. I was in Virginia. I'll give you a great, simple analogy. I have a good friend right now who's going through a pretty tough time. Very successful guy. Who is not working in that role anymore, and he's lost. Because he's used to, doing what he was doing, And, you know, financially he's fine, but he's literally lost because he doesn't have that thing. He wakes up in the morning and starts going, you know, that this is why I'm living. This is why I do these things, because I got this team of people and I'm moving them toward a goal. So he's literally in this place of loss. So what he's doing, this may sound crazy, is I now am calling him Forrest Gump, because he started in Tampa and he's walking to Charlottesville.
Wow.
And what he's doing is his personal self was in such a mess that he's now made himself the goal. It's not about the other people. It's not about what he ran before. It's about my goal is to make myself 100% better, 180-degree turn. And some of you know, if you follow my blog and my, you know, Guillain Barré stuff, one of the things I renamed it was the 180 Project, because I wanted to turn my mindset and my physical being 180 degrees, and at the same time get into the 180s weight wise. And I've been able to do it. I mean, this morning I'm at 183.6. It's 183.3 is the lowest I've been, and I can't even tell you where. But this morning I was at 183.6. I've gotten to my goal. My goal was 185. I've gotten my goal, and I've maintained it for several days now. It wasn't just I didn't eat for a day and, you know, did that. But the point being is, this guy's walking from Tampa to Charlottesville, 20 miles a day, to make his mind right and get physically in a place that he hasn't been. He gained a lot of weight, the whole thing. And what's happened is, you know, I wasn't even going to talk about this. This is a bonus. No, but it ties it up in the fact that what happened is he made a decision to change. And he was struggling. And what's happening now is he started, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to walk 20 miles a day and see what happens. And he has gotten such positive feedback along the way. The people that he's met, the people that have helped him, he's walking along. I don't know how he's walking, you know, but he's got a 4-wheel cart that he pushes with all his tent and his stuff in it. And some people have said, hey, you can camp in my backyard. A good friend of ours, he had coffee with in Jacksonville, and he wouldn't let him, you know, my friend said, can I just camp in your backyard? You're not camping in my backyard. And he put him up in the Hilton a mile away. No, I don't want to be in a Hilton. No, yeah, you do. And I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for you. So, you know, had a night in Hilton. And then he went to, the last I heard was he was in between Amelia Island and Savannah, Georgia. And I saw a picture of him, and, you know, Forrest Gump is really starting to happen. But the point being is that he started out on this thing, and you know, at first it was hard, but his mind is, you know, quieting down, and he's really thinking through who he wants to be. He's getting this positive feedback that spurs him on each and every day. Now, does his wife think he's crazy? Yeah, I think so. Does his daughter think he's crazy? I know so, because she told me. But they're both okay because he seems to be in a better mental state than he was 3 weeks ago. So I'm not telling you that's what you're supposed to do. But what I am saying is, and the whole reason I came up with this is I was going to say, going from Virginia to California, if I'm going to Virginia, California, and I drive and I spend the night in Knoxville, well, I can look back and go, whoa, I've made some progress, right? And so that's what we got to do with our own lives, with our goals. We got to look at our goals and say, hey, I'm this much farther along. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm doing things and I'm creating things and I'm having things come my way that weren't coming for me before. And therefore, I'm winning the game, right? I'm moving the checkers to the other side of the board. You know, I'm capturing the queen, you know, in chess. And that gives us the, you know, the positive aspect. Now, you know, maybe that you get checkmated on the next move, but you got as far as on the chessboard you've ever gotten before. So you got to start again and move that first pawn again. Start making that first step forward again. Not beating yourself up over the fact that you know, that you lost that one. Okay, got to go again. So anyway, Hope this has been helpful. Been helpful for me, I'll tell you that, in just preparing for it. It certainly has helped me in my mindset. So I hope it's been helpful to you as well. All right, well, enjoy your guys' day. Thanks for joining me. And this is recorded, so I'll send it out to Vincent, and if it helps to listen to it again, please do. And if you're talking to other agents, let them know what we talked about today, and that they can find it on the Agent Hub or the Agent Only Facebook page. So appreciate you guys. Have a great morning.
Bye, guys.
Thank you,
you,
Michael.
See you guys.
Thanks, everyone.